This stream was broadcast during the 2023 SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes. Without the labor of these talented artists, the stories we love would not exist, and our conversations about them would be impossible. For more information on how you can aid in the strike, click on the link in the description below.
Hello, my friends. It is Aldo, and welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic. You know what to do, and stay profitable.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty, its incredible detail. Tuning into it, they want to shatter your mind talking about Justin Bieber. It's pure evil.
Wow! Okay, that was a hell of an episode, and we're here to talk about it. We already got our first caller in, the kind of unofficial co-host of these of these Star Wars these Ahsoka after show call-ins. It's Eli from In a Galaxy and Epic Confrontations.
Goddamn!
Goddamn fuck.
I will quote a certain character that is completely irrelevant to this episode from Attack of the Clones, and I'll say that direction is a job for normal directors, not Dave. And writing is a normal job. It is for normal writers, not Dave. It's overkill, Master.
It is overkill. I am blown away by this episode. Something, the thing that I've been talking about with these after shows is that they've been a fun opportunity to kind of just freak the fuck out over whatever we've just seen. We're the actual episode reviews that come out weekly. We're recording one on Thursday with Bombadcast before we are live on Bombadcast, so stay tuned for all of those on Thursday. It's all Bombad TNAP crossovers this week, baby. But where that's kind of where we kind of like slow it down and kind of like get into the nitty gritty and have like a more well-rounded discussion, where these are more kind of a stream of consciousness kind of thing, where we're all kind of in disbelief of what the fuck is happening. And I can honestly say this is the first time in a very long time, like since I was at least a teenager, where I walked away from a Star Wars not fully understanding the metaphor yet. And that excites me so much. Now, this is the first time a Star Wars had left me kind of scratching my head to figure out what it all means. And that's not to say that, like, my first viewing, I've understood everything, but I've had, like, a grasp on it. This episode was so dense and had so much going on that I don't fully think I understand it yet. And I'm going to try to watch this at least 2 or 3 more times before I do a review of it. I was completely
Remember last week when we got onto this stream?
Hi, Buck.
Buck Wild. Remember last week when we got into the stream with our jaws dropped, thinking that we had just seen something unprecedented in Star Wars. Remember those days? That was cute.
Yeah.
This was absolutely wild. And to see it
was
on an IMAX screen?
You're fresh out of a theater!
I am fresh out of the theater.
I can imagine seeing that in theater. I cannot imagine that. That must have been so good. That must have been so mind-blowing. And
it was definitely on a whole other level. Like,
well, I would say, Buck, I'm just going to give you the floor then for a minute here to just.
All right, no, like so, like the
This
communal experience, you can just feel everyone wanting to react, but everyone is like emoting, and like you can see like waves of people being like to the people they're with, like, oh my god, right? Like through the whole experience. And then we saw Rex, like we see him, but we don't hear him yet. And then he finally speaks, and the crowd just went wild. We're like, woo, because it's Rex. We love Rex. That was holy crap. I mean, granted, we didn't
Rex, by the
see
way.
Rex, but
I want to
see
say
Rex.
this out loud so I can confirm to myself that this is fucking real. Rex played by Temuera Morrison.
Yeah.
What a world we live in.
Yeah,
CT7567 Captain Rex for the first time ever being played by Temuera Morrison.
I wish we would have seen more. Like I know that like there's the age thing. I wish we would have seen him without his helmet, but just to still see like him like holding his double pistols and
the twin pistols,
running
the
around
design of the
like,
helmet, talking to young Ahsoka
and Anakin.
And
Anakin, like the fuck? I just and then to see like the Siege of Mandalore, I lost my mind when I suddenly her lightsabers are blue, and I was just like,
yeah. Oh,
no
there was a
fucking
second
way.
where I'm like, oh no, are they gonna really retcon her sabers to
There
be
was
blue
a
for the
moment.
entire war? And then
there was a moment,
and then I saw like the headpiece, and I'm like, oh no.
It took me a moment. No, it literally took me a moment to realize her outfit, what her outfit was, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, we're in the Siege of Mandalore.
And then I saw her stabbing like a mole trooper,
a Maldalorian
trooper, and I'm
I
like,
love the
oh shit.
Like I know I have like a bunch of them like right here, but I'm not gonna.
Well, I will say just on that topic, we also have another caller. We got Kyle back. Hello, sir.
What's up?
Holy moly! That was an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, seeing
like
Pergil. It's gonna be a big nut bust.
Scratch that, Jarod. It's not gonna be.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't have it in the past tense, unfortunately. Anyway, sorry, Kyle. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Just seeing Filoni's growth as a director from I rewatched episode 1 of The Mandalorian, and you could see how nervous he was as a director versus now where he's like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing, and you're all coming for the ride with me.
Right.
I don't know. At least for me, and I think he's definitely gotten better at directing, and especially for me writing, because like between the Gunslinger and this, like the Gunslinger, I liked that episode more than most. But,
right. But it's still not a good episode.
I
like it.
It's not.
I like it.
It's one of my least favorite of them. But I will say, like, there's just the growth from the jump from the Gunslinger to the Jedi is unparalleled. Like that jump is so incredibly insane, and to the point where I didn't think he'd get better. Then he does from the desert, which is absolutely crazy, and then from the Jedi and from the desert with the Foundling, the spies, and now all of Ahsoka. He's just churning out banger after banger after banger of episodes.
It's unreal.
Like you can tell he had because I know like one of the biggest complaints, quote unquote, from people is that Star Wars, like the sequel trilogy, seemed to be kind of meandering. Like no one had a plan. You can tell there is a very detailed plan here. That like Filoni and Favreau and others, they have planned it out from the beginning to the end. They know what they're doing.
That motherfucker gave us live action Vader again on screen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
we got Vader, Darth Vader again.
I'm not going to say it's all been planned out from the beginning because I don't think.
But I'd say the overall plot line has been planned out.
Well,
the treatment has been written.
Yeah, and I think Dave has always kind of known where he wants Ahsoka's story to go, in the broad strokes of it all, and it really it feels like he is executing it as much with as much Dave energy as he possibly can, which is just tremendous. I was saying, a good friend of the show, of all our shows, Alden Diaz, when he interviewed,
boo.
when he interviewed Ryan Johnson.
Boo.
You love that movie.
There's a fandom.
When he interviewed Ryan Johnson, one of the first questions he asked him was, "Do you feel like you left it all out on the table with The Last Jedi?" And a sentiment that he felt like he had, and I very much agree with. This feels like that for Dave. It feels like he's putting it all out there.
Why would you
All of his
let
ideas,
somebody
all of his
else tell your
philosophies,
story?
all of his views on Star Wars. He's putting it all out there. He's treating this as the last Star Wars he will ever make, even though it isn't.
It feels like he treats everything like the last Star Wars he will ever make.
Yes, but especially this.
Yeah,
Well,
this in particular.
There's an interesting message that I feel like is being taught, that it was the one that they were trying to get, like George was trying to get through to us in the OT, that we kind of walked away from a little bit, which is you win by not fighting, right? And Ahsoka never learned that lesson. Like we see her do these things, but like how much does she take it to heart? And is that the path that you continue to walk, right? Like,
Right.
is you win by not fighting. There's always another way, and she learned from Anakin that he shows us through this episode, like, I'm going to keep you alive, and this is we have to adapt. We have to adjust. Yeah. And that was to become more like we were keepers of the peace growing up when I was a Padawan, but now we're warriors, and you have to adjust. And those were the lessons, and the lesson was to unlearn what you had learned through this walk.
If only we'd ever heard that before.
I know. It's a shame that there's
it.
no character. It's a shame that there's no.
Yeah, never happened in Star Wars. Apparently, never happened.
Never.
We also have another caller here. I don't. Scott Jarod.
Oh,
it's my first time coming in, guys. I'm nice to meet
sexy.
all of you. Nothing much, big balls, Buck. Nothing much. No, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't have that much time to stay here. Jarod, I'm sending this your way, by the way. So that's coming to you.
Oh, is that the sticker from the Thracket?
That's the sticker, yeah. So
sticker from the Thracket.
I loved every moment of this, but I really loved how well it is a gateway for fans that have not watched animation. Like all these things, because these fans are going to go, what were these battles? I don't remember these in the movies, or I don't remember this. And then they'll be able to have the opportunity to go and be like,
what
oh yeah,
this
is all.
My fiance's stepdad has been whining, I don't know what's going on in these shows, and we're keep telling him, watch Clone Wars and Rebels.
Even
but don't care that Ezra looks like Aladdin in the first season. Just watch them.
I just love that this show has the opportunity now to name drop and drop things like that for people to go and watch and experience for the first
they
time.
just name drop them like nothing. Like they're just like
Mandalore.
Hu Yang just goes, Jason's dad is the Jedi Kanan Jarrus.
Is Kanan.
That got a murmur. That got a murmur of
which,
applause.
by the way, was not even the most insane name drop, in my opinion, in this episode.
No.
Yep.
The most insane.
That was just kind of the mid-tier name drop. It's like, oh hey, Kanan.
God.
The craziest one for me, and I'm still thinking about this, and it was such a small moment. But did you catch who was sticking up for Hera and Carson and their crew in the Senate?
Senator Organa.
Senator
or fucking Ghana.
Which means that she is somewhat involved in these events. From an outside perspective, like she's far away. She's probably wanting to avoid the war, but she's still involved.
Because we get to avoid.
But just knowing that somewhere out there, Leia is caring about all this, and Leia gets it.
Well, probably also taking care of little Ben Solo.
We get to avoid the deep
taking care of now how he's like 4 or 5, 4-year-old Ben.
Yeah, he's about 4.
I'm just dumbfounded.
And 4-year-old Ben is getting whispers from this like weird guy halfway across the galaxy. Then Leia has no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not to get too
I mean, these events would also help explain like things like in Bloodline, where she's like, "There's something very wrong here."
I don't agree with that sentiment.
I know you don't.
I completely don't agree with it. I think
I know.
it's a terrible.
I saw you laugh to yourself the moment you said it, and that was why I had to fuck.
But
with
people use
it.
that as like the reason why Ben fell, and I'm like, no, that's the dumbest reason you fall to the dark side. You can all fuck off with that mindset.
Just because
about Leia being a bad. No, because the idea that Leia is a bad mom, and I'm like, no, that's not why he fell. Go away.
Like Leia was supposed to send Snoke whispering to her son,
but
like she was supposed to keep track of that.
And
like she said something, but wasn't Luke just like, yeah, it's nothing to worry about? So really, it's Luke's fault.
But like with Ahsoka being able to duel Anakin and Jason hearing her in the waves, and the fact that like
and it being so loud, apparently Hera could hear it.
Right, but even Hera taking the moment to like, wait, let me center myself in the Force and like listen to what he's listening to and listen to my son and believe my son in the moment, and like that was like, you know, from the mouth of babes, right? like let's listen to our kids.
So that's kind of the first question I want to dive into here, because Scotty and I were just on a call while I was getting set up talking about this. How much of what just happened? I got to find the right word here. How much of what just happened was real? Like, and by that I mean how much of this was like Ahsoka unconscious in the water, like the Force communicating to her, or was she metaphysically within the world between worlds? Because I'm inclined to believe that she was in the world between worlds.
Same here.
Because I think if it was, for lack of a better term, a vision or a dream, that there would not be the ability for Jason to feel it and hear it, and for it to send like
I agree.
Also, one simple fact: she would have drowned. She was underwater for God knows how long.
Well, I mean,
literally hours.
I can accept the idea that she was in the water and in the world between worlds at the same time, and that it was just some type of mystical force bullshit that kept her alive. I'm okay with
like an air bubble.
Air bubble, or maybe just her existing in two places at once, and weird like weird force bullshit.
I will say this about this, which is that, and I don't want to quote this series because I know the controversial feelings about this, about the person behind the series and all that kind of stuff, but I'll just say, of course it's happening in their head. But why does that...
That was the quote I thought of. That's the exact quote I thought of.
See, for me... remember when Kanan...
It's not real.
Do you remember when Kanan had to fight the Jedi Temple Guard, and it was just the Grand Inquisitor?
Yeah.
Same shit.
Yeah.
Same shit was in the Temple of Lothal. But like, you know, we knew that Cetos, or whatever the name of this planet is, or Cetos, had a connection to the Force in some capacity because of what's going on.
Yeah.
And like, it still happened. Which
is why I think Hera was able to connect to it too.
Exactly.
Because Cetos is so rooted in the Force.
Yeah.
Like, to use a Legends term that hasn't really been used in canon, but that I still hold on to, like, I do think it's like a Force nexus. Like the Force is just like this planet is just so saturated,
it's so incredibly strong with the Force.
In the Force, that even a layman like Hera, like with the proper guidance from Jason,
this is clearly the thing that we're supposed to think. The cinematography that Dave uses in this is meant to communicate that to us because of how many
how pointed
shots
is it that
we
you almost
have
called
on
George?
I know. But like the panning shots of the forest, of the cliff, of the ocean, those are all supposed to literally ground us in the Force and in nature, which is how we commune with the Force, right? Like so and we're intended to think these things about what is actually happening. What is actually happening.
Yeah,
that is my actually like my broader answer. And I know that Jared, you're not one of those people who will ask this in bad faith or something like that. But like, how much of it is real? My answer is, who fucking cares? Like,
I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's a fair
like Hera
question.
Ahsoka got the answers she needed, and she got the closure she needed with Anakin.
She became Ahsoka the White.
Yeah.
And so and she did so through a mystical Force journey.
And she seems so much more like bouncy and optimistic by the end of the episode. Like, because the one thing about like Rosario's performance through Mandalorian and both is she was always very stoic. Versus here, where by the end of it, she's like, "Yeah, who knows where we're going? We're probably gonna die. Let's have fun."
Yeah, let's see. There were some people talking about Ahsoka's like deliveries and stuff, as if that wasn't on purpose to show her state of mind or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And I think there's also something, again, like there's a whimsical nature to her performance. And again, there's almost this moment where like she found like she got her groove back, and
she got her groove back. Yeah.
There's this there's this implicit trust in the Force that she's experiencing. That
she's
it's
back
like,
on her mojo.
Yeah, it's like okay, you're too fucking young to make an Austin Powers reference. Okay, first of
all. I didn't realize that was.
Eli's in here like, I love gold.
Mojo was like transcended Austin Powers.
I know, but the way he said it was very. Didn't know you were old enough to watch that yet.
I didn't either.
But anyway, I think that there's this like moment where she's like, I don't know. Where I mean, I think she's kind of trolling Hu Yang in that moment, but also I think there's a level of like, I'm just following vibes. And by that I mean the Force, and the Force vibes are telling me.
What's the difference?
And yeah, truly. But I think it's very much like the Force vibes are telling me to do this, and I'm gonna trust those vibes, and I'm gonna see where this leads me. And that's not a decision I think Ahsoka would have made in The Jedi, or from The Desert Comes a Stranger, or for the first 4 episodes of this show. She
wouldn't have.
Do we remember when Dave Filoni made those Topps trading cards?
We were just talking about that in the other call. Right, and I just saw the one on Twitter of her like emerging from water.
The water. Incredible. Yeah.
Dave really
Filoni does a long game.
He does. He does. Here's the thing that I think is fascinating with Filoni.
I was expecting this, which we didn't see. Her walking through the water, following Morai.
I think the
Convor
is going to be a big payoff at the end. I think
like a big moment.
Ep 8. Yeah.
Right. We even get like a little bit of like a red forest.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Mm.
I have this big piece of art I was gifted for Christmas a couple of years ago, where it's this stained glass. It's not actual stained glass, but like the art is like a stained glass side by side of Anakin, a stained glass of Obi-Wan, and a stained glass of Ahsoka. And like the stained glass of Ahsoka is the Ahsoka the White. And again, my girlfriend, who is like only a third of the way through Clone Wars so far, like we got through the flashbacks, and like she's now in the Ahsoka the White outfit. And I explained to Taylor, like, it looks like they're kind of like backpedaling on how the Rebels epilogue works so that Dave can kind of tell this story in a more filled out way that he wants to. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, she's Ahsoka the White now. And my girlfriend had this moment where she looks at it and she goes, okay, what the fuck is the owl then? And I just kind of like smiled at her and I went, I was like, we got a lot of Clone Wars to watch still.
Spoiler.
I was like, I am not even going to attempt to explain Morai without watching Mortis first. Like I'm just
without watching Mortis, without watching Victory and Death, without watching Twilight, without watching without watching World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
Well, that said, speaking of Twilight of the Apprentice, like I do want to talk about a lot of the Anakin stuff. Again, first off, on a base, lightsaber go burr, fanboy level.
I was gonna say this episode fed you so well.
Oh yeah.
Well,
anytime there's lightsaber battle,
I'm full. I need a week.
Well, speaking of thinking of me with lightsaber duel stuff, if you subscribe to the Nerd Academy podcast Patreon at the $5 tier, you can listen to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series, where in one of our episodes we did Revenge of the Sith Anakin Skywalker versus Ahsoka Tano Circa the Mandalorian.
Go back and listen.
We just fucking saw that.
We just saw it. Now I will say this was
in
kind
the
of different.
World Between Worlds.
Yeah, I think the fight between them was on the bridge of the Radis when we did it. Because we pick arenas at random.
That's fun.
So spoiler, it's on the Radis. It's $5 tier. $5 tier, like 30 episodes of the Versus series. But
those plugs in.
I will say, like, I felt kind of vindicated because the fight played out in a similar way to what we said. It was just the only issue was that like Ahsoka kind of spent the whole thing on her back foot because she was kind of tripping balls and was like emotionally compromised. But the blow to blow sword play,
so good.
We were on that shit.
Yeah,
we were on that shit. Oh,
I didn't teach you everything. That was a great line.
I know she's like, because she did say like, it doesn't look like you have much to teach me, or whatever that line was.
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, he's like, also, he's like, listen, kid, I fight dirty. Also, again, just on the, I haven't gotten to my main like lightsaber go burn nut bust yet. Second of all, he did the move. He did the move. He did the move. He did the fucking move. And it made me so happy. I squealed and then I rewound it to see him do it again. That fucking behind the back flourish where he moves into that like attack towards the shoulder.
Yes.
That is my favorite Anakin fucking move. So that shit makes me so happy. The thing that I freaked the fuck out over, I have been saying since I was a child, that I wished in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin didn't have the Skywalker saber. I had wished that in Revenge of the Sith, I'm putting the link to join in the chat again, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it, mostly because I see Sean Room in the chat, so he can join if he likes. If Sean joins, then we'll start kind of cycling through some people.
That's right.
But I've been saying I wanted to see Anakin for the back half of Revenge of the Sith with a red lightsaber, and I've always wanted to see no suit Vader with a red lightsaber, and
you did it.
Yes,
I squealed. It looked just as fucking cool as I knew it would.
Just seeing Hayden in the Clone Wars armor.
That was
with the hairstyle where it's not as long as it was in Revenge of the Sith, but slightly shorter.
But to see that flicker between Anakin and Vader throughout this journey,
just flipping back and forth.
Flicker, I was just
flicking into Vader is so good. I freaked out, and there was that like freaking when he's out leading the troops on the battlefield, and and he turns into Vader for like a split second, and I remember like just saying to myself when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, no, Ahsoka, you didn't see that. That was probably just a trick of the wind.
Do we assume that it was Hayden in the costume? Do we think it was Hayden in the armor? For that?
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he saw enough of Vader.
Just that with that little
suit.
Because the time we saw Vader, it was so like heavily shadowed, you couldn't tell what was happening.
Well, I'll say, whenever I was watching it with my girlfriend, whenever you see that push where he's like moving into the deserts of what I think was Ryloth.
It's Ryloth.
That's why I was assuming. Ryloth.
Well, it's Ryloth because you see the Twi'leks, but I think this is another thing that we were arguing about, was whether or not they're going through different battles. I thought it went Teth, and then it's Ryloth, and then they come back to the world between, and then the Siege of Mandalore.
I thought the first one they were on before I saw the Twi'leks. I thought it was Geonosis 2.
I assumed it was Geonosis at first, right? Yeah.
But I think it was Ryloth the entire time. I think it was Ryloth, and then it was Mandalore.
Yeah.
And I think those are the only two we saw.
I disagree, but that's pedantic, and we're not going to argue about it.
We're going to watch it again, and we'll learn.
Yeah,
we'll be back in a bit.
Yep. I will scan every fucking second of this for EC.
Well, whenever they're pushing forward, and then like you see the way that the clones are kind of like forming up behind Anakin, I thought it was going to be this cool reverse shot where they were going to then hard cut, and now he's marching on the temple, and Ahsoka's watching it happen.
Man.
And I out loud, I was like, oh, it's gonna be Order 66. It's gonna be Order 66, and then there's that hard.
Look again,
boom, Vader. And
I'm glad.
Went, ah!
I'm glad we didn't see Order 66 in the show.
Yeah,
because then they would just be like, "Oh, they keep going back to Order 66," and I would just love just for once.
No, we are not gonna deprive ourselves of important character beats because boring fucking people are bad at critical analysis.
Amen.
For once, to not give
Order
people
66. it's not like Order 66 was like a major like canon event felt across the galaxy by millions of people.
Right.
It was not that big.
Changed.
Well, and that's the thing is that like I think a lot of us, myself included, because I unwillingly saw a prominent leak about what was supposed to happen in this episode, and it ended up not being legit. I think it was either outdated information or
Anakin fighting Ahsoka on
Mustafar.
Well, that was the thing, was that it wasn't Anakin fighting Ahsoka on Mustafar was the original leak. The original leak was she would be shown through the world, pardon my hiccups, through the world between worlds. Vader winning on Mustafar.
Yeah.
And Vader like dealing a killing blow to Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Damn.
So again, I think either the people who saw this information misinterpreted it, or they had old information the same way that there were those leaks about Vader killing Reva at the end of Kenobi that like we found that like through the grapevine it was kind of implied, oh, that was like that was one of our early ideas, and then we decided to go in a different direction.
Okay.
Kyle, give us your final thoughts because Mr. Sean Room is going to be taking your place, my friend.
Here comes the boom.
Absolutely fantastic episode. Cannot wait for next week. And honestly, I hope we get more of Hayden because he has really, really come into his own as Anakin all these years later. And
give it up to Hayden Christensen, man. Like, as somebody who is not like a huge fan of Hayden, and I think it was mostly of George's writing in Clones. But
yeah, like you can tell he's done his research with the Clone Wars and Rebels because because it's almost like a yin and yang between him and Matt, basically. Like Matt researched Hayden's performance and improved upon it, and now Hayden's researching Matt's performance.
And I came around on Sith, and then him and Obi-Wan Kenobi was freaking fantastic.
Oh, good.
And then him in this somehow is better.
Yep. Like, I love that we can actually see a unmasked, unburned Vader in this episode. Just pure rage and hatred.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Scotty, you final thoughts. Well, not quite final because we'll
be on each other's shows.
We're going to be on each other's shows this week. I'm on my podcast. You're on Knights of the Nerd Republic.
That's right. We'll
be lucky if all of them get out of those alive.
I'm just very thankful that we're in a time now where we have the opportunity to get these stories and not feel convoluted and not feel like you have to have a bunch of residual or other things you have to watch to lead up to it, you know? As fans of this,
but it's a huge help to watch them.
Yeah, and also I was going to say, when it comes down to it, you know, a lot of it does allow you to go back and watch these things in a different light and experience these things differently. And of course,
Ahsoka's like looking at a beautiful portrait. But then when you watch everything else, you realize that this portrait is much, much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And much more. It's not a portrait. It's a
Eli, I thought these were my final thoughts.
I was gonna say.
So one thing I'll say is when it comes down to it, you get this very, very deep and I guess dense is a funny word because Rick McCallum, but a very dense form of this mythology that I don't think anyone was expecting. You know, you're getting more Jedi lore, you're getting more teacher lore, right? What it means to be a master. And now, you know, how are these lessons that Anakin taught Ahsoka, which was a huge chunk of this episode? How is she then going to trade that into Sabine and make Sabine a better person? Because for all we know, Sabine instantly thinks that Ahsoka is going to be upset when they run into each other, right? And that's going to be the big emotional, I guess, pull for the rest of this season, which is probably gonna be a series at this point. But the rest of the season is like the second they see each other, I'm sure Sabine's like, I'm screwed. Like she won't never want to train me again.
Motherfucked, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and you know, hopefully Ezra will be there in some capacity, waiting to save them. But no, I'm very happy to be talking about this with y'all, and I'm very, very excited to be able to experience this, you know, as a collective fandom. And sure, we do need to pay our writers, and I respect we need to pay our actors as well.
Pay the writers, pay the actors, because if we don't get season 2.
And that's the thing.
We don't get season 2. We don't get any more of this shit. So
no, I'm very happy to know that there's obviously a lot of things at work here and a lot of things down the line that we can also enjoy. But no, Jarod, thank you for having me on, and I'll see all of you very soon.
Yeah,
stay freaking bomb, bad gang.
Save on.
Bye, y'all. Nice meeting you, Kyle.
Bye.
Excellent.
All right.
Cool beans. All right. Well, joining us now is a force to be reckoned with in trivia. It turns out.
Clearly.
Dragon Con finalist, baby.
Probably the next person I'm going to be bullying and playing against me. We have Sean, the apostate Rue.
What's up?
Hey. How's it going, guys?
Sean, how are you feeling right now, big dog?
Oh, man, dude. I had a busy day at work, and I was just, like, getting home. I had to do all this shit, and so I was late watching, and I literally just got out of it just now. You'd already started your stream. But that... I know people are already saying it, but when I think back retroactively, I'm like, that is definitely like top 2, maybe top 3, but probably top 2 episodes of Star Wars television I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And there is some recency bias to that. That would take some deeper analysis. I'm sure you guys are gonna do some of that shit on your respective shows as well. But like, holy crap.
Isn't it crazy that Dave Filoni is back-to-back 2 for 2 on like, oh, so that's like a top 5 Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
He did some of the best stuff for himself there, clearly. But I mean, people are posting it already, but the little cards that he made for Ahsoka back in the day to tease where that story went, he got to play with some of that now.
We flipped through a few of them just now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's awesome. I love the Clone Wars Anakin stuff. I love the flashbacks, but I also love the stuff in the modern timeline as well. Like we're getting a little Belly of the Whale type situation. I mean,
I pointed that out to my girlfriend. I was like, there's some biblical shit happening right now.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
Well, biblical. I was thinking of Pinocchio. No, I'm kidding.
Sure, could be a reference to that. I'll just say this to the internet, and I'll quote Eminem here. Nowadays, everybody who wants to talk like they got something to say. Nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. You motherfucking hacks forgot about Dave.
This is real. This is real, guys.
That was awesome too, because she came out and I was like, oh, he's just gonna play with it a little bit at first, where she's like got a blanket around her. I'm like, oh, that's so Ahsoka the White is actually just cozy Ahsoka. We need a cozy Ahsoka Funko Pop now. But no, I mean, I love the full outfit when she came out of the ship when she was talking to the Purrgil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
excited.
We were talking about how like Ahsoka's mood and mindset has changed, and she's so much more whimsical again. Mm-hmm. And again, speaking of like the whimsy of Star Wars, I love that her outfit is the same fucking outfit, just white and with silver accents, with no explanation for it. I love that. Fuck you, you little Cinema Sins brain. Well, she just had a white duplicate of the same outfit on the ship.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you. Have fun.
So good.
Touch grass. Go on a date. Like,
as someone whose wardrobe consists mostly of black T-shirts and white T-shirts, it's not even that weird, guys. Come on.
No.
I know.
No,
she's got to get some like crazy multicolored, neon green and blue outfit. Like
change clothes.
It was so good, but it was happening. Like, I wasn't complaining about. I mean, I think the start of the season for me was a bit slow, but it needed to be. It needed to take that time to breathe, and I had faith that it would lead us towards where it's going now. Like I was talking to people at Dragon Con about how, Ahsoka is definitely like more down, and she's in her sad girl era, and like that's part of her story.
She's in her sad girl era.
Fan of Ahsoka to see her like own herself again, and obviously, we're going to be able to dig into that whole sequence, all those sequences with Anakin for weeks to come, but to see her come to that place of like, I don't know, contentment and like understanding of herself, and to see the smile on her face again and playing around with Hu Yang and just being like, oh, I have no idea what's happening, but we're going to run with it. Like that is so good. And I cannot wait to see the rest of the season knowing that that's her mentality.
Holy crap. the weight and emotionality that they gave Huang in this episode was wow. Like when he's just standing there on the cliff, I was not ready for the level of emotion and how that hit me. I'm like,
I told them to go together. I told them.
And it only can be done by David Tennant. Like,
and the people who made him look so good, whether it's animatronic or CG, I think it's probably both. I mean, it was so good.
I seem to remember that Dave or somebody saying that they actually had David Tennant record the lines beforehand, and they were able to whatever physical kind of model on set. They were able to have him speak the lines pre-recorded, but he wasn't actually
awesome.
there.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's what they
Rosario and Mary and Natasha and all those people. Yeah,
it's kind of like what they did with Andor, where they did the music or large parts of the music beforehand so that they could play it on set to give the mood. I mean, it's the same. It's sort of what they do with the volume, right? They can show the actors, and then the actors don't have to pretend as much. They can just act.
You know,
it is wonderful how much planning they put into this before they start rolling cameras.
Well, Dave is probably great at that because that's how animation works, right?
That's very true. That's very true.
I will say, I'm going to say this. This is maybe my slightest, crazy tiniest criticism about this episode. And maybe I'm just bad at watching for this stuff. I'm completely fine to accept that. This is the first episode, I think, where I've noticed the volume of Star Wars television, where I have specifically noticed.
I notice it all the time. But this is the first one of this season that I've really, really noticed.
Yeah, no, I think I'm just bad at watching for it generally, but
I mean, I don't care to look for it personally. That's a me thing.
Normally.
But I will say, I think it speaks volumes about the volume. That they did the fucking World Between Worlds. That just hit me now. I'm like, that was probably 99% volume. The way that they shot that it's not fucking green screens or blue screens anymore. It's just fucking the volume. That's bananas.
Yeah.
Jesus H. Christ, man. This shit's so fucking. I love Star Wars. But no, I with a lot of the Ahsoka the White stuff, I think it's really cool. Again, Dave never made it a secret, about a lot of the Gandalf illusions. I think it was just really cool to see it all come together this way. And looking back at those Topps trading cards, that it feels it's this is going to be a weird comparison, but it's the only thing I can think of. Back during the days of the Batman Arkham games, how every game was hinting towards Arkham Knight. Every game was laying the groundwork for there's this or every game was at least leading towards the next one, but it was always hidden in collectibles and Easter eggs and stuff, where if you snuck your way into the right office in Arkham Asylum, there was the plans for Arkham City, and there was also this one missing thing that would eventually you find out was because of the Arkham Knight, and there was you could get to the room where Joker was torturing Jason, but you didn't realize that's what it was, and all the way back in Asylum. And then in City, you find these hidden crates, and it's Scarecrow no longer is wearing his old mask, but he's hiding all of this fear toxin. Where? Why? There's all these little things that are something fucking crazy is coming. And looking back at those trading cards today on September 12th, 2023.
Right.
Looking back at those trading cards where there's this crimson forest and this winding road of Ahsoka seeing Vader and her waking in the water, then you look at all this and go, oh shit, he's been cooking for a minute, and again, how many of these ideas do I think he's had since day one? I don't know. How many of these ideas do I think he's had since the beginning of The Mandalorian? I don't fucking know. What I do know is that Dave has had some facsimile of this journey for Ahsoka in his mind for some time.
Yeah.
It's the same with George when he wrote how many ever drafts of the OT, right? And we saw different permutations of what we end up getting, and people like to be like, oh, he was making things up as he went along. I'm like, he made adjustments as he went along, like, but he had an idea of what he wanted this world to be.
And I think
Dave is
that
the same way.
And I think people often put a bit too much emphasis on plans and stuff like that. Like,
oh, sure.
Like Dave, I don't know what. I think when he designed those trading cards, I think those were representations of what was happening to Ahsoka on Malachor, when she was making like her spiritual journey on Malachor. I think at the time that meant that.
Yeah.
But like now it means that. Now it means this too. And that's what makes it so special. And that's what makes Star Wars so special always. Is and I'm going to use this word how it should be used. The retroactive continuity. The things that you can see in older works. Now that you know what's happened, now that context has been provided in newer works. It is then you have to kill Vader, then the Emperor has already won. That's made stronger by the duel at the end of Part 6 of Kenobi. It still works without it, of course. It's still a great moment without it, but it's made so much stronger because Obi-Wan went through "I am what you made me," goodbye Darth, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they need to be different journeys, right? They need.
Yeah. I do want to address Woodsy's comment here, and I will say like this, and this is a lot of like what I was saying earlier. Is that like this is the first time in a long time I've walked away from a Star Wars anything and like felt like I didn't understand what it was trying to tell me fully, and in a good way. That I feel like there's a lot of meat on the bone, and I know we're going to get into this a lot both on KNR this week and when I'm on the Bombad cast. So get ready for me waxing poetic about this a lot this week. I'm just going to kind of go around the horn here. What is our interpretation of Anakin's lesson? Because I don't know what to make of it yet. Before we got on, and again, this is another reference that I'm not sure will land for everybody on the call right now or anybody watching. But and to give context and a recommendation, because it's now no longer just on Spotify, Dissect, which is this phenomenal music podcast. They do like each season they do a different album, and each episode a song off of that album. And they did a sensational season about Kendrick Lamar's "Damn." And one of the key themes of the Damn season and of Damn as an album is this question that is posited on the first song. Is it wickedness or is it weakness? You decide. Are we going to live or die? And the whole thrust of that question is, are you going to live a life of wickedness, of making the selfish choice, of choosing to live only for yourself and only for in the pleasure kind of hedonistic, pleasure, or are you, and again, because Kendrick Lamar is, very much a Christian guy, that's important to him. So while that's not necessarily important to like this conversation directly, kind of leads into like the light side, dark side dichotomy here. Are you going to live a life of like Christ-like weakness and choose to live not just for yourself, but for others, and to choose mercy and grace and compassion? And while that dichotomy in and of itself is very Star Wars,
yeah, it is.
I walked away from Anakin's lesson in The World Between Worlds feeling like it was very much, is it weakness? Is it wickedness? Is it weakness? It's like, are you going to fight or die? And I love the idea of, are you going to fight? Are you going to die? I choose to live. Is so fascinating, and I just want to unpack so much of it, because on some level I think what Anakin is trying to get at is this insistence of like acknowledging his failure as a teacher, that like he's trying to highlight, I fucked up by training you to be a warrior, and there's more to this than that, and you're a product of the time that we all got fucked up in. And again, there's that dynamic of, of you need to fight or you need to die, and trying to show Ahsoka that even though she's been trained to be a warrior, she's more than that, and that I think in some way he's trying to reflect a mirror of himself onto Ahsoka, where, go back to what she says in The Jedi, in The Mandalorian, where, she says, I like the best of our order. I've seen what it can do to people. She still holds Anakin in a high regard, at least the man he was. And, you see her like with a smile tell Luke, there's so much of your father in you, in Book of Boba Fett. So I'm kind of inclined to say that I think what Anakin is showing her is, if there's more to me than Darth Vader, there's more to you than just being a warrior who's a product of your time, who only knows fighting war after war after war. And I don't know if that's fully it. I don't know how much is there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off base, and I'm gonna shut up so other people can talk.
There's this thing where she says, "I will not fight you," and what was his response? I've heard that before, and which he has, right? And with Luke, he's like, "I will not fight you," and on the Death Star. So like the idea is coming back. I think there's a lot of it too coming back from some of the lessons they were trying to teach in Rebels, which is how we choose to fight is just as important as what we fight for. And what is Ahsoka fighting for in this moment? It just seems to be the status quo. And to keep preventing a war is great. It's a great thing. Like, prevent war. Let's not needlessly kill lives, but like, to what end? And I think her coming around to like, also I'm going to live, and is because she's just kind of, I feel like she really has just kind of been existing. I love that she's like, I guess I'm going to choose to live.
Also,
live.
I also think that with every one of these heroes that we follow who goes through these tests through the Force, they have these moments. Some of them have one, some of them have more, where they have to go through the Force and see visions of other options in their life and other ways to deal with problems. And it's not that the Force or a Force ghost or Anakin or Obi-Wan or whoever is being the mentor figure in that moment is going to explicitly tell them what's right and wrong. I don't think the lesson is not even necessarily what Anakin is there to tell her. The Force presents a challenge, and Ahsoka is there faced with this challenge. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Fight or die? And through that experience in the Force, she has to figure out and find it within herself and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing your game. I'm not falling for your tricks. I'm not going to fall to the fear of it all, like Luke in the Dagobah cave or Ezra in the Temple on Lothal. There is a moment where all of these Jedi have to come to terms with that, like, truth of the matter that they find within themselves, basically to say, no, screw you. I'm going to live. I'm choosing a different option. I'm not succumbing to your binary dark side, light side, like strict policy on that. Like, and so it's like a moment for Ahsoka to find herself. And I think that every one of our heroes has done that. And so I don't even know that it was necessarily Anakin trying to teach her anything with himself in mind at all. I don't think he was trying to teach her about him. I think he's part of the Force, and he's there to present her with a challenge, knowing damn well that if she takes a second and thinks about it and goes through the emotional journey of it all, that she'll come to the right decision, which is that, before this, she was in sort of a grim place where she was really down and sort of a defeatist and had lost a lot of hope, and was sort of telling Sabine in the last episode, like, hey, this is not going to work out. We're going to have to choose between saving Ezra and stopping Thrawn. Now she's, I think, at a much more hopeful place where it's like, you know what? We can do this. We'll figure it out.
Fuck them. I'm taking the fight to them.
Fuck them. I'm taking the fight to them. And fighting in my own way by, living and passing on all these lessons. So I think it's more of a regular test that the Force provides for Jedi at some point in their life.
I think what's so beautiful about an episode like this is, and about many Star Wars stories, is that people can have multiple valid interpretations of them. And while like the whole like live or die thing is not something I personally got from the episode. Absolutely, I can see it now. I have to admit, like all that stuff like sounded really fantastic, and it kind of like I was following a lot of it, but some of it went a little over my head, and that's not like on any of you. That's just me like trying to digest all of what I heard, all the great stuff that I heard. What I was thinking about specifically for me was about Ahsoka a lot and her relationship with the past, and it's almost sort of like a meta commentary on her character's relationship with the past, because what do we tell people when they want to know more about Ahsoka from Mandalorian book? Go to Clone Wars, go to Rebels, because those are the things that in and out of the story have defined her. But last time I checked, this show was not set during the Clone Wars era. It was not set during the Rebels era. It's set during this era. And there's I described it in a chat with some of our friends. I described it, and this is an estimate. I'm not saying this is exact or anything. I'm just pulling these numbers out of my ass. But I feel like 75% of Ahsoka has been focused on the past, and 25% with like the whole finding Ezra, stopping Thrawn, has been focused on the future. But a whopping 0% of her has been living in the state of mind that Jedi are supposed to live in, which is the present.
Here, the now.
Young Skywalker, always focused on where, never focused on where he was, what he was doing. As you said with Qui-Gon, keeping your mind on the here and now. So, like, I think a part of the Anakin's message to her was like, look, I'm not defending what I did. I did terrible shit, and the galaxy is going to have to recover from my terrible shit. But last time I checked, it's been 5 years. And you're not dealing with my shit anymore. You're dealing with this thing. And this is your goal. This is your mission. And you are not focusing on the now. So if you really want to focus on the past, let's do that. Let's focus on the past. Let's give you some traumatic moments from the past so you can really soak in how awful it was. But the past doesn't need you right now. The present does.
Yeah, it's crazy. There are so many takeaways. We each had a completely different takeaway from this. We had 4 people who are like, we know each other fairly well. How awesome is that? That regardless of what your take is on Dave as a creator or on this show or on Star Wars in general, we just had 4 completely different experiences with this show and initial takeaways. I'm sure we're all going to sit with it, but that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's a sign of like rich storytelling that we can just do that.
I think, and I do want to bring it home on that. If I want to put one last thing out there into the periphery, and this was kind of brought to my mind by what Eli was saying. I was mildly, let me say, disappointed. I think there was a really interesting moment that was kind of left on the table with the Siege of Mandalore stuff. Where I do think it would have been really interesting if Ahsoka, like whenever it's like, I don't remember this battle, and Ahsoka was like, yeah, and she was like, this is where we parted ways, and if she kind of like really bitingly went, and the whole point was Darth Maul wanted you here.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you could.
That's a good connection that I didn't even make. That's
where you could have had that moment of like, you want to talk about, living and dying and fighting. I fought this fight for you,
and
ever since you turned to the dark side, I've been fighting battles you fucking started.
And we could go down the path of Darth Maul, who up until this point for a few years all he wanted was Obi-Wan Kenobi dead. But now he wanted you dead.
Because he understood the role you played in this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that that's one point, Jared, that I thought of as well when it was happening. I was like, are they going to touch on that? But I don't think that that's something that they would have been able to explain in
It would have been so deep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm sorry. I think there could have just been like her making that remark of like, yeah, like I came here to save Mandalore from Maul, but it turned out he was waging this whole war so he could stop you from turning to the dark
I think
side.
that would have thrown people. They haven't even brought up Maul in Mandalorian. For people who haven't seen the animated,
I think you would. I tend to agree with Sean. I think it's something that I think would have been a bit too deep of a cut.
If this was animated, they could have done it, but this is not animated.
Yeah, but
death to all of them.
Fuck them. They can Google it. We all have podcasts and YouTube channels. That's what we exist for, to explain it to the fucking normies.
I'm not saying that it was a good or bad idea. I'm saying
I know.
That's
why they didn't do it. Why they didn't do it. Yes.
I know. I'm being a jackass.
No.
Anyway, guys, this episode was incredible.
I'm go watch it again.
Oh, wait, did we mention that Jason Sindula is officially fucking Force sensitive?
I love it.
That was the smart money.
Yeah, but like this is the first time we really got a good.
Jarrus and Hera Syndulla not going to be Force sensitive.
I also loved that. I also loved Hu Yang. It's like, wow, you gonna train me? No.
No.
Do you know how to build a lightsaber? Yes.
Yes.
Are you gonna help me build a lightsaber?
No.
Fucking love Hu Yang. He's definitely taken the place as my favorite droid, and
he's up there. He's up there. It's between it's like I don't know if it's a 3-way tie, but it's like a really tight race between BD1, Hu Yang, and Proxy.
I'm still
you're speaking my language, Jared.
Listen, Buck, you and I are the Force Unleashed truthers. It's you and me. It's you and me and Galen Merrick until the end of time.
That's a freaking Force Proxy is one of your droids. That is.
I love Proxy.
Oh, what
so
the guy who charges people money for a Versus series? You're surprised Proxy is one of my favorite fucking droids?
I'm not. Absolutely not.
Oh man. Anyway. Like
Sorry,
I said,
I could not kill you, Master.
I fucking love that shit. I love that shit so much. Let me tell you, this is a complete
another excellent duel.
A complete non sequitur about the Force Unleashed. I, as a kid, for years, only played the Wii port because I didn't have an Xbox 360.
It's the only one I haven't played.
So, do you have a Switch?
I do, but I'm waiting for my giant box to show up sometime in the next decade.
Oh, did you get that special edition Switch version?
Well, I've been waiting.
I just want live action, Eclipse.
Don't roll your fucking eyes at me when I talk about
Juno.
Galen Merrick and Proxy and be like, I want Juno Eclipse.
Star Killer is tired. Juno Eclipse is tired.
We can have them both.
Yes, we can have them both.
No. Oh, okay. Broke. Live action Galen Merrick. Woke. Live action Juno Eclipse.
Or Rom Kota. Bring Rom Kota into it too.
Bespoke. Live action Darth Desolus. Or Darth Vader.
Well, listen, Rom Kota. I fucking love Rom Kota because to me, Rom Kota is like the Jedi version of Saw Gerrera. And I think it's why Rom is like one of my favorite EU Jedi. Is because he was just a violent, militant anti-fascist.
There is interesting how much DNA from Rom is in Kanan, right? When we meet Kanan, he's super drunk guy, right? He doesn't really care, and Rom Kota was drunk, and then blinded, right?
Yeah, Kanan is kind of like if someone took like Kyle Katarn and Rom Kota and put him in a blender.
Yeah. If someone took Rom Kota and said, "Calm the fuck down."
Yeah, you need you to bring it all the way down. But no, anyway, so with the Force Unleashed, I played the Wii port exclusively, and this is how all the way into that game I was. Every weekend I go to my grandmother's. There was a Wii at her house. Every weekend from the calendar year of 2008 to 2010. Every weekend I beat the Force Unleashed. Every week I played that game beginning to end. And on the Wii. And then I got an Xbox 360 and then did the same thing with the 360 port. Let me tell you how guffawed and stunned I was with the second Raxus Prime boss battle once I got to the Xbox 360 version. because that is not what it's like on the Wii. Because on the Wii you just fight a Shadow Guard. On the Wii you just get to that ore cannon and you fight a Shadow Guard. Now I also played the Nintendo DS version, and that one had the whole thing where you fight Proxy, but he still didn't turn into Darth Maul. Like it was still, like
so
the
that was
only,
a complete surprise to you.
So it was only the PlayStation
damn.
and the Xbox 360 version where it's like, oh, I've saved one thing for this occasion, Master. Yeah, and it's just like I was like, oh fuck.
We will have to do a Force Unleashed retrospective someday, you and I.
Dude, I have that. I've been meaning to do that. It's
15 years. 15 years this year, right?
I know. I think
what
so. Yeah.
What I wanted to do is I want to do a Force Unleashed retrospective multi-parter. This is me just doing like production notes, just live for people. Because what I want to do is just like looking back on the Force Unleashed. Then I want to do the very weird release of the Force Unleashed and talk about how like all the different versions are so weird and different.
They're so different. There's like the mobile version, the DS version, the PSP version.
Well, the PSP and the Wii version are the ones
similar.
The stories are the same because they have all the same different weird levels.
Right.
Because in the Wii and the PSP version, you do 3 levels in the ruins of the Jedi Temple. You go to you go to Nar Shaddaa to pick up Coda, which makes more sense than Cloud City in my opinion. And then there is still a Cloud City level. There's still a Cloud City level, but it's where you go to recruit Garn Bel Iblis, who just shows up in the Xbox version.
Yeah.
He's just there when Bail Organa like organizes all of his people. The Kashyyyk, it's weird. So like Kashyyyk in the prologue as Vader is during the daytime, and when you go back to Kashyyyk as Galen, it's nighttime. It's fucking reversed. It's backwards. It's nighttime.
Very for anyone just joining us, this is our review for
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yes.
And it's wrapping up, and I'm going full Pepe Sylvia about the Force Unleashed. But I want to do like hey, the Force Unleashed was fucking cool, wasn't it? And then I want to do, hey, the Force Unleashed was fucking weird, wasn't it? And then I want to do, hey, the Force Unleashed actually had more to say than you people give it fucking credit for. You just let the Dude Bros co-opt it because Star Destroyers out of the sky.
And then can we do, hey, the Force Unleashed 2 is fucking dumb, wasn't it?
No,
we won't, Eli, because we don't download our fucking opinions from twitter.com. Young man. No. Anyway,
I said 2.
Ahsoka is 2? I'll still defend
I was saying 2. I was saying the Force Unleashed 2 is fucking dumb. I wasn't saying Force Unleashed 1 is fucking dumb. I was saying 2 is fucking dumb.
I defend 2 to the death, but
okay, I'm gonna leave, or we're gonna end this stream on my Force Unleashed 2 hot take, which is you are not playing as a clone of Galen Merrick. You are playing as the real thing.
That's not the hot take. I thought that was. I literally thought that was just the story.
Dude, so many people are like Starkiller clone, Starkiller clone, Starkiller clone.
I don't know where that
comes from. That's the whole point of the dark side ending is Vader going, you were the real thing the whole time. This is the fucking clone.
Yes. Okay, but anyway,
we'll talk about this. Anyway,
we'll do that another day.
Knights of the Nerd Republic on Friday, Jerry and Scotty from the Bombad Cast. And then Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, I am on the Bombad Cast, among other people. Michael McCoy and Bill Sheehy will be on as pardon my hiccups as well. It is a murderer's row. You can talk about
that's a sexy lineup.
Goon Squad spectacular.
It is a oops all goons. And then, like I said, on KNR as well, we'll be talking about the episode. And I might be on Comic Book Cast this week. It depends on what my work schedule looks like. Might be on Comic Book Cast talking about it as well. So
exciting.
We will see. Stay tuned for all of that. I have read The Blade, and I have a Porter Angle character sheet. So Porter Angle versus Count Dooku coming soon to the Knights of the Nerd Republic versus series. $5 tier on the Patreon.
Did you like Alden's fan casting for young Porter Angle?
I screamed like a little girl.
Yes,
I replied to his
sexy.
Twitter thread.
What the hell?
Nut, and it was in reference to Porter Angle.
Yes, that was where I was like, "Oh, you're onto something."
Yeah.
Can I just quickly say something that I've been waiting to say for quite a while now?
What's that?
Epic Confrontations is back, baby.
Oh yes,
tomorrow.
Plug.
I won't spoil it. I was a competitor on that. It was very fun.
Yes, he was.
I didn't get to see it. I will be watching. when it drops tomorrow. So go check that out as well.
I'm so
It'll
excited.
be unlike anything that has come before it. I will say that.
Oh, does that mean there's not 18 fucking challenges in the second round?
No.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
All right. Sean, do your plugs because everybody else got the plug except for you.
Yeah, no, I don't have a whole lot to plug. I sometimes do podcasting at Bogus Cantina. We're on a little bit of a break at the moment for real life stuff and also because they're not paying their actors and their writers. And I just haven't been feeling the love for right now.
Absolutely.
I still love the content. Obviously, I'm freaking out over here. I'm watching every week. So we might do some later episodes and drop them.
Absolutely. And I also, and Sean, I want to commend you for making that decision and not taking the time out of your day to spread misinformation and make people believe that
it's totally a decision that, like, I think for people like us, it doesn't matter. It's sort of what we want to do. It just It also I've also done real life stuff.
It's your personal ideas.
It's sort of
you've had an interesting summer, so you are excused.
Busier than you know, but we'll talk.
Yeah.
Well, it's ultimately down to people's personal judgment, and I respect both sides of it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm also on Twitter at RoomSean. You can hear me ramble on there. Yeah,
and he's fucking making waves in the trivia scene. But
I'm so proud of you.
He is.
So proud of you.
Yeah, he is.
At the Dragon Con trivia.
I wish that was recorded somewhere. I wanted to watch that.
We need a couple clips for Sean on this one first.
Got that dog at 12.
He's got that dog in him.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
No, he's fucking good.
He runs off.
No, he's fucking good.
I'm still mad.
Yeah. There it is. Let me full screen the kid.
Place, the apostate Sean Room.
The apostate third place.
I love the apostate is not in parentheses. It's Sean Room is in quotations.
By the way,
they said you could write whatever you want, and I wrote the apostate, but then I'm like, they're not going to know who the fuck that is, so I put in quotation marks my own name.
By the way, I do.
You didn't kill Sean Room. I am what remains.
By the way, just for a clarification thing, I could just and I'm not trying to like throw any shade or anything. Who is second?
I don't remember their name. And to be perfectly honest, to be perfectly transparent, I actually tied someone for third. So there's two people who can claim third place. They're just
still. You tied for third. You tied for third. You came in second to who knows.
What does that say? That says third place.
Yeah, you tied for third. You came in behind somebody, and Alex freaking Damon.
That is a wild fucking move, people.
I got a question that no one else on the panel got. That felt pretty good.
Yeah, you did.
Do you remember what it was?
I do remember what it was. They showed a picture of a starship, and no one else knew what it was. And I wrote it down immediately. And I was like sitting next to Alex, and I was basically telling him like, dude, you know what this is. And then we all lifted our cards. No one else got it right. I got it right. It was the Legacy Run.
Man, you said I was sitting next to Alex, and I was waiting to hear you be like, and I was getting in his head. I was like, don't you know what it is?
Well, I was sort of
you want to explain it to me, Alex?
I was like,
don't you want to explain it to me, Alex? Is it not demon time anymore, Alex? Do you not know the question? Demon? Do you not like you? I like see like. And that's why Eli has to crack the whip on me to remind me that I'm the face in Epic Confrontations. Because that's where I would go.
That's what Jared would. And Jared would be like. Jared would be like, you know, time flies when you're having fun, Alex. Don't you think? Time flies, don't you think, Alex?
Okay, I would not stoop to that level.
Those are all my plugs.
Anyway, we're calling it. I'm tired.
Wait. I'll be on Radio Rebellion this Saturday at 2 Pacific.
Hell yeah.
Radio Rebellion. So yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, with that, we'll see you guys in this week's KNR. See you on Bombadcast. Better see y'all subscribing at the $5 tier for the Versus series. Porter Angle versus Count Dooku coming soon. Finally.
Oh, yeah.
With all that, may the force be with you always.
Fuck yeah.
Going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind. Talking about Justin Bieber. It's pure evil.
Stop. Stop. Move away from the cookie jar.